moisturizer, so Sekisei emulsion, but I mix in a pump. And I'll just sit here like that. Hi. Put on any mask is by centering it to my eyes. You really want to just smooth it out at the edges and get all the air bubbles out. Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. I'm so honored to have been invited to talk about the importance of a self-care ritual and give you some tips on how to build your own self-care ritual today. You know, self-care is a buzzword that's gotten really popular globally over the past few years, but I think there's a misunderstanding about why it's important. So our understanding of self-care and what we see portrayed in the media and in advertising is typically a very consumerist, very purchase-driven practice. A lot of it is things like taking a bubble bath, buying yourself a bottle of wine. All these little indulgences are considered self-care, but to me, self-care is something much deeper and something much more important to our success, especially as women. Women are trained from an early age to feel that our value lies in our self-sacrifice. When we think about the concept of the woman who has everything, a lot of times we're thinking about a woman who is doing a lot for other people. So she may be a mother with a career. She may be a student who also helps with her family in her free time. All these concepts are really admirable, but they raise the question, how can we do all of these things without taking care of ourselves? Since self-sacrifice and martyrdom are so ingrained in this concept of a successful woman. My idea of success is very different. I do think that we can have it all. I do think that we can achieve all the goals that we set for ourselves, but I don't believe that we do that by losing ourselves and by sacrificing our own well-being. So for me, any self-care practice that you choose to do is something that's going to replenish you. It's something that can strengthen you, to give you more energy to go forth and pursue your goals. It's also something that can optimize you physically and mentally so that you can perform and so that you can achieve to your greatest ambitions. I'll talk a little bit about myself first, and then we'll delve into some of the ways that you can use self-care to improve your own life and your own chances of succeeding as you want to succeed. So my name is Jude Chao. I started as a Korean beauty blogger and skincare writer about 6 years ago. In those 6 years, I've written a book, which is actually coming out on March 30th this year. I'm launching a skincare line. I do still remain active on my blog. I write freelance beauty articles for a number of sites, and I also have a son. I'm actually a single mom. My son is 10 years old. It's him and me most of the time, so I'm working and I'm taking care of my son at the same time. I think externally, it can look like one of those stories of the woman who has it all. And what I want to really talk about today is how none of that would be possible if I wasn't taking care of myself as well. And that's where the self-care comes in. So when we think about self-care, let's look beyond our skincare routine, even though that's what I started with, and we will get into that later on. Self-care is what you personally need to do in order to make yourself stronger. So what I'd like you to do first is consider what your main goals are in life. If you're a student, is it to graduate with honors? Is it to get into a great school? If you're a professional woman, what are your career goals? As we think about these goals, we need to think about what we need to bring ourselves internally in order to achieve those goals. So as a student, you may find that you live kind of the stereotypical student life. You may eat kind of poorly. You may spend too much time studying, not enough time resting. And all these things are actually weakening you, making it more difficult for you to achieve your goals, making every step a little bit harder. So when we think about self-care, what we can think about is how you can nurture yourself as if you were your own child and your own mother. What would you do in order to make yourself healthier, in order to give yourself more energy so that you can do more in your day-to-day? If you're a professional woman, if you're working towards career success, same question. Are you living healthily enough? Are you taking enough care of your body? And are you taking care of your mental health? so that you can succeed and so that you will have the energy to rise to the occasion when your work calls for it. When we think about those things, it becomes a little more clear what we can do. I think some of the most basic tenets of self-care are eating healthily, exercising, getting enough rest, and then building on top of that, taking care of our outward appearance to just optimize ourselves. Not in a sense of looking pretty to other people. What I've wanted to teach people as we discuss our skincare routines, our makeup routines, our hair care, is about finding the tools to look better in a way that makes you more confident about yourself. So that's another tenet of self-care. I don't want you to think that self-care means looking at the ads that you're shown and insisting on finding ways to look more like some other person or to look more like a person that you are told you should look like. I would like you to look within and think about those things in your appearance that would make you happier for yourself and would make you more confident to improve. So if you're thinking about changing your skincare routine or doing any kind of cosmetic procedures, that's the question to ask yourself. It's not, how can I look prettier so that other people find me acceptable? It's about, how can I feel better about myself? Often I think when you make that shift from looking for external validation and trying to fit society's ideals, which change all the time, and start looking within to develop your own ideals, then even the beauty portion of your self-care routine will become something that improves your mental health instead of becoming a source of anxiety or stress. So as we move forward and you start to decide what improvements you can make in your diet, in your lifestyle, in your sleeping habits, and in your beauty habits, there's another piece of the puzzle that's a little bit more serious. We talked before about how the woman who has it all is often expected to be a figure of sacrifice, who does all of these things without taking care of herself because everyone else is more important than she is. And we've sort of covered how I don't believe in that. I believe that we have to take care of ourselves and we have to prioritize ourselves and put ourselves first so that we can support our success and in turn give to others. One of the key barriers that women often face as we look towards this vision of our future are toxic influences and negative influences that can hold us back. And that's why the final and most important piece of self-care is learning to create boundaries. It's learning to say no and to look into your life and find the influences that are not working for you. Before we go into personal relationships, we can look at our media relationships, such as they are. I think a lot of us today follow influencers on social media, or we may follow certain celebrities, we may follow certain experts in topics. Not all of these influences are positive. I'm sure that you'll find scrolling through a typical social media feed, bloggers, vloggers, and beauty gurus who you might notice promote insecurity in their audiences. And what I mean by that is that there are some influencers who seek to promote an ideal that makes you, as the audience, feel less secure about yourself in order to sell you an idea that they can fix you or that the products that they sell can fix you. As we try to develop ourselves and as we try to live a life that is more full of self-care, we need to discover those influences in our lives, and wherever they're possible, remove them from our lives. Because as long as you have voices that you are allowing to tell you that you're not good enough yet, that you should be more like someone else, that you aren't as worthy as another person, those voices and those thoughts will always hold you back. So as you do your research, as you think about what you can do to improve yourself and your hold on life, unfollow those people. If you notice that when you follow someone on social media and you see their content, it makes you feel bad about yourself, if it gives you negative feelings instead of positive ones, that's a good sign that it's time to stop following them. The people and the influences that we let into our lives will shape our thoughts. And when they shape our thoughts, they will shape our reality. Moving more into personal relationships, very, very, very important practice of self-care is the act of saying no. As women, this is one of the hardest things for many of us to learn. And I know that I've struggled with this my whole life. Going back to the concept of the woman who has everything, I think we'll often find that we feel expected to be able to take on extra labor if we're asked to. In the office, we may have our own job duties and then be asked to take on the duties of someone else, or to take on the extra duties of training someone else, teaching someone else, or doing more above and beyond what our job requires. In some cases, it may be beneficial to do that, but in other cases, doing extra labor doesn't really benefit us. In fact, it just drains us. When we're doing busy work for someone else, when we're taking on labor without appropriate compensation and without appropriate rest afterwards, all it does is advance somebody else's interest at the expense of our own health, our own mental health, and our own success. So while it's not always possible to say no in a professional context, it is very important to practice being able to wherever you can. So the best way to do this, I found, is to understand day to day what your priorities are. What are the projects that you need to finish in your job? What is the schoolwork you need to finish if you're a student? And what are the household tasks or the family tasks that you absolutely need to complete that no one else can do but you in your household? Those are the things that come first. It's always going to be the tasks that only you can do. After that, if you have the time, if you have the energy, and if you have the inclination, then we can say yes to other things. Then we can help. Then we can extend ourselves for others. But if we choose to extend ourselves by pushing our own priorities onto the back burner, instead of being self-care, this becomes a form of sabotage for yourself. So in your day-to-day, I'd like you to think about the times that you are asked to take on extra labor or are asked to do for others in ways that sabotage your goals for yourself or the prioritized tasks that you have to do, that you can't ask anyone to do, or that you can't trust anyone else to do properly. As you begin to be more mindful of this, you may find that you identify certain factors that are consistently a drain on your energy and that don't bring you a return in your life, in your success, in your schooling, wherever you are. When you identify those, it will be up to you, based on your circumstances, based on your surroundings and your relationships with people, to find ways to protect yourself from those influences and to find ways to set boundaries so that you can better protect your energies and can better protect your work, so that the things that only you can do are what you will be free to do. Ultimately, that's what it boils down to. Each of us has something that only we can do, no matter what our role is, whether we're a daughter, a mother, a wife, a boss, an employee. In all of those roles, you are a special person because there is no one else that is exactly like you. For that reason, there are things that only you can do. No one else would do them exactly the same way. And that's where your value lies. It's not only just in giving to others. It's not only in sacrificing. It's in doing the things and contributing to your surroundings and your personal world, those things that no one else can do but you. And that's what self-care is about. Self-care is about optimizing your ability to contribute who you are and the really special things you can do to the people around you, to your work, and to your life. So in order to do that, ask yourself every day, what do I need? That's ultimately the goal of self-care, is to provide yourself with what you need first, so that you can then provide whatever you wish to or whatever you need to others. So everyone's self-care ritual is going to look very different. My self-care ritual, to give you an example that you can take with you as you think of your own, is to exercise and practice yoga several days a week. I found in the years that I've struggled with having the energy levels and the motivation to achieve the things I wanted to achieve, that physical movement, exercise, and the act of disciplining myself to grow stronger in very specific ways has been something that's carried over to the rest of my life and that has really enabled me to believe in myself more in every way. So exercise, to support the exercise and to support my general health, I've improved my diet. So I eat much more healthily for myself. I make a lot fewer choices to eat junk food or to eat poorly or to eat too little or to eat too much. And a lot of that goes back to a conscious decision to treat myself as if I were my own child. I want to feed my child healthy food so that my child can be healthy and grow, be happy, and be able to achieve his best no matter where he is. I've taken that attitude to myself. Of course, in beauty, as a skincare writer and as a skincare guru, my skincare routine is very extensive. It takes me about an hour or two in the evening, including a mask, to do my skincare. And this is not sitting in a bathtub, just not doing anything except skincare. This is sort of applying the products while I clean up the house at night or do the dishes so that I can get set up for the morning while at the same time nurturing myself with a ritual that I really enjoy and that makes me feel better about my appearance and gives me more confidence in my everyday. So those are my self-care rituals. As I leave you today, I would like you to take a minute to think about what you need in order to develop your own health and happiness more. When you finish this talk, do you want to eat something a little bit more healthy than you usually do? Do you want to maybe take a walk or go take a class at the gym? Do you want to go buy a new face wash so that you can work on your skincare routine? Whatever you choose is up to you. I would just like you to choose something that you can build upon so that every day, with every time you practice the self-care ritual you choose, you grow a little bit stronger, a little bit happier, and a little bit more capable of doing everything that you plan to do. Thank you.